Let's go ahead and begin by looking at simple sentences, or what we call independent clauses. A simple sentence must have a subject, it must have a verb, and it must be a complete idea. Let me repeat that one more time. A simple sentence must have a subject, it must have a verb, and it must be a complete idea. Now, the subject can be a person, it can be a place, it can be a thing, it can even be an event. It is really what the sentence is about. The verb tells us what the subject is doing. Now, I said a simple sentence also has to be a complete idea, right? This is where it gets a little tricky. It gets a little tricky because some verbs need a direct object to be complete, and some verbs, well, they don't need a direct object to be complete. Then there are those verbs that are complete with a direct object and complete without a direct object. Now, the key words you need to know for these three types of verbs are transitive, intransitive, and ambitransitive. First, let's look at transitive verbs. These are verbs that need a direct object. For example, if you say, "I brought," it doesn't make any sense because we don't know what you brought. Brought is a transitive verb and it needs a direct object to be complete. Now, if you say, "I brought my lunch," well, then the sentence makes sense because it's complete. Now let's look at intransitive verbs. Our sentence is, "She laughs." The sentence has a subject and it has a verb, and it is a complete idea because laugh doesn't need a direct object to be complete. And lastly, let's look at ambitransitive verbs. Now, ambi is a Latin word which simply means both. So if we take the verb read, we can say she read, or we can say she read a book. They are both correct. So why is all this important? Because you need to know when to use a direct object and when not to use a direct object. Now, obviously, there is more to simple sentences than just a subject, a verb, and maybe or maybe not a direct object. Because you may want to use adjectives or adverbs or a prepositional phrase to make your ideas clear. And certainly, a simple sentence can have all of these and still be a simple sentence. Well, that's enough theory. Let's take a few moments now and look at some examples. In our first sentence we read, "The speaker discussed the results of the experiment." Here we have a subject, a verb, and a direct object. We also have a prepositional phrase in this sentence. Next, the company gave the employees a raise. Now, like the first sentence, we have a subject and a verb, and it is a complete idea. But note, this sentence also has an indirect object, the employees. The direct object is the thing that the subject acts upon, and the indirect object is the person or thing that receives the action. So our sentence reads, "The company gave the employees a raise." Sentence number 3. The immigrants brought their culture to the new country. Again, this is a complete idea because it has a subject, it has a verb, and it has a direct object. Now, it also has a prepositional phrase at the end of the sentence that gives us more information about the situation. Let's look now at two more examples of sentences with intransitive verbs, verbs that do not need an object to be complete. The speaker has arrived at the auditorium. The speaker is the subject, has arrived is the verb, and at the auditorium is a prepositional phrase. We could simply say, "The speaker has arrived," and it would be a complete sentence. Here's another sentence. "The patient's health improved." It has a subject and it has a verb. And because the verb is intransitive, it's a complete idea. There's one more thing I need to mention here. A simple sentence may also have a compound subject or a compound verb, as in this example here. Thomas Edison and Henry Ford were American inventors. Here, Thomas Edison and Henry Ford make a compound subject. In our next example, the company is hiring and training new employees. Now here, hiring and training make a compound verb. Now you can also have both a compound subject and a compound verb in one sentence, such as, boys and girls study and learn at the new science center. Let's take a few moments now and talk about sentence fragments. Simply put, a sentence fragment means part of the sentence is missing, either the subject or the verb, or maybe it is just not a complete idea. Let's go ahead and look at some example sentences now. This sentence has a subject. It's talking about the hospital, but we don't know the action. The verb is missing. Now, we can fix it by rewriting the sentence with the verb tested. The hospital tested its patients for the virus. Look at this sentence. Jim Conway taking a vacation next month. Now, the sentence has a subject and it has a verb, but because the verb is in the ing form, it also needs a helping verb. So to correct the sentence, we simply need to insert is. Jim Conway is taking a vacation next month. Now, how about these sentences? Engineering is a popular major at the university. Students apply by the end of January. Now, it sounds like two good sentences, right? But there's something wrong. The first sentence is good, but the second sentence doesn't fit the flow of the first sentence. But if we add must, the sentence now makes sense. Students must apply by the end of January. Well, let's go ahead and take a few moments and review what we have covered today. First, a simple sentence must have a subject and a verb, and it must be a complete idea. Second, an intransitive verb must have a direct object to be complete. Third, an intransitive verb completes the sentence without a direct object. Fourth, an ambitransitive verb can be used with a direct object or without a direct object. Fifth, a simple sentence may have a compound subject and a compound verb. Well, that brings us to the end of this lesson. Don't forget to take the lesson quiz below, and if you have any questions, make sure to ask. Well, until next time, take care.